was defying a direct order, but I felt justified. In the 3 out of the 4 cases of familial homicide, the husband was the killer. Dozens of cases came to me. Bludgeoned wives, smothered children, buried in shallow graves or put in wood chippers, entire families shot and tucked into their beds. The husband, displaying grief, begged the real killer to come forward, or leaving the country. Often they were married in under a year. I hadn't given up on Tara Lori Brooke after less than a day and a half. This was still a presumed missing persons case, and even the chance of finding the 2 alive headed towards 0. I needed to get a take on Lucas Brooke, the man at the center of it all. I parked in the lot of Sunset Park Prep, the 10-acre campus grounds like clipped green velvet. The main building was imposing, built of white stone in the early 20th century. Athletic fields and smaller buildings stretched out beyond it. I had flashed my badge at the visitors' check-in when the bell rang. The students exited their classrooms, chattering as they walked the broad corridors to their next class. I stopped a group of young ladies and asked where I could find Mr. Brooke's office. One said, "You just passed it." I reversed my course and saw Mr. Brooke on a nameplate to the left of the office door. I knocked and heard, "Come in." Brooke looked up when I entered his office. He was a good-looking 40-ish man, sitting behind a desk with a neat stack of papers. His hair was a thick and wavy auburn. He wore tortoiseshell glasses and a blazer over a blue shirt, a red tie, and a wedding band on his ring finger. I showed him the badge clipped to my inside jacket pocket and introduced myself. We shook hands and he offered me a chair. I took it and started talking. "You know that Kathleen Wyatt filed a report against you," I said in a neutral tone. I didn't want to alarm him. I wanted to come off as a friendly neighborhood cop. Brooke took off his glasses, wiped his face with his hand, and sighed. "Sergeant, you've met Kathleen?" "Yes, she's very distraught. I've already made a statement to the missing persons about this," said Brooke. He picked up a business card from the front of his desk and read the name. "Lieutenant Tom Murray. You should check with him, but since you're here, I'll repeat myself. Kathleen Wyatt is, how shall I say this, eccentric, paranoid, off her rocker. She calls me at all hours. I'm afraid to turn off my phone in case Tara tries to reach me." "She still hasn't?" "No, we haven't spoken since I called her yesterday." Yesterday morning. But I'm not having a panic attack. Tara, like her mother, is high-strung. We had a fight. I don't even remember what it was about." "Really?" "Okay, if you must know, she ran through our credit line on a frivolous purchase. I bought her a Volvo when Lori was born, and that wasn't even enough. Underwear and makeup and some stupid gadget to calm her mind. She bought a chair from England. Never even saw the chair. $4,000 purchase, plus shipping. I work my butt off and she gets high on online purchase sprees. So I took her credit card and ran it through a shredder." Brooke did look annoyed, highly. I could see his point. Then again, he was providing motive. He might be innocent or could be a killer. My instincts weren't making the call. He said, "Sergeant, I can tell you everything I know right now. I last saw Tara yesterday morning at about 7:20 when we had a fight, shouting and name-calling only. I walked out and was on time for my 8 o'clock class. An hour or so later, Kathleen began calling my cell phone every 10 minutes. I was looking for tells as I sat across from him. He wasn't sweating or avoiding my gaze. There was a frame photo on his desk. I moved it towards me. Tara and Lori at her first birthday, about 4 months ago. Visible inside of Tara's wrist was a small heart-shaped tattoo. Lulu. He said, "Help yourself. Anything else you need to know about my personal life?" "You're not my concern, Mr. Brooke. There's a statewide Amber Alert out for your daughter. Help us out, will you? You must have thoughts about where Tara and Lori might be." Brooke waved away the implied question. He said, "You know, Tara never even locked the doors on our house, right? And she's done this before. This time, she emptied our safe, but she won't get far on a few 20s. The baby diaper bag is gone. Here's an idea. Why don't I file charges against her? How about kidnapping, for starters?" "Good idea. Come with me to the station," I said. "You can make a statement, file your complaint, and we can have a longer talk. Mr. Brooke, let's get Tara and Lori home. He scoffed, then he laughed and said, Tara's just pissed off at me. She's a doting mother. Nothing will happen to Lori. A young woman appeared in the doorway. She had a long blonde braid and blue painted fingernails that matched her school uniform. Mr. Brooke, when should I come back? Give me 10 minutes, Misty. She said okay and left. Another thing, Brooke went on. Sergeant, here's something you should know. Tara's doctor prescribed antidepressants. They're still in the medicine chest and the bottle is full. She's gone off her med? Yes, and in my opinion, that's why she's telling stories to her friends. Spending like crazy, running away from home. And do you know what worries me? He was ranting, and I wasn't going to stop him. I actually found him believable, but I wish I had this on tape. Tell me, I said. What worries me is Tara is unhinged. Kathleen is unhinged. And if this is genetic, okay. Give me your card and I'll call you when I hear from my wife. 5 minutes later, I was back in my car, still deeply disturbed about the missing wife and child. Kathleen Wyatt had gotten to me, and I believed in my heart that Tara and Lori were in danger. I couldn't walk away, despite Clapper's direct order, until they were safe. Lucas Brooke hadn't raised my hackles. I didn't feel that he had killed Tara or Lori, and he hadn't seemed very worried either. Where were they? Had Tara run off, as her husband insisted, or had something happened to them, as Kathleen feared? I thought about Tara and Lori Brooke. I swear I heard them calling out to me. If they weren't home by morning, I wanted to get this damn case from missing persons and working on it. Get search warrants, interviews, Brooke's co-workers, students, neighbors, and friends. My tensions were turned physical. My neck and shoulders were cramping. It felt like the restraints Clapper had put on me were tightening. I got back to the squad room just after 5, and I found a note from Coughlin, weighed down by my stamper. I'm with the search team. Call you later, R. I gulped Tylenol dry and called Richie. He picked up. Where are you? He asked. At my desk. How's it going? I've got that feeling like you've put something down in your house, and I can't find it, but you know it's there. It's gotta be there. We talked more, and I told him my interview with Brooke, warming myself up from the unpleasant meeting with Clapper. And I told Richie I'd report back. I took the stairs up to the 5th floor and headed from the corner of the office, facing Bryant. I knocked, and then I wriggled the doorknob. Stupid. What if Clapper opened the door in my face and said, "What do you want, boxer?" But his door was locked. Around 6 p.m., I drove to the edge of the financial district, parked on Jackson Street, and walked towards Susie Cafe, where I was looking forward to seeing my 3 best friends. Sydney had named her gang of 4 the Women Murder Club, and it stuck. We claimed Susie's Cafe as our clubhouse. Sydney, Clara, Yuki, and I loved the place. Don't worry, be happy. Crowd at the bar, and a steel band on the occasional limbo contest. The tasty Caribbean food, and that everyone knew our names. We try to meet here every couple of weeks for the laughter, the camaraderie, and we also pool our mental resources and apply them to the case that refuses to crack. Tonight, we were getting together because 3 weeks had passed since we'd last seen Claire. A chill breeze blew down the empty street. I buttoned my jacket and still felt cold. Then I saw the lights coming from the cafe window. If anything warmed me, it was Susie's Cafe and a huddle with my best friends. Maybe one of us would have a bright idea. As I closed in on Susie's front door, a small crowd streamed out to the street. A gent held the door for me, and as always, the roaring laughter and the aroma of curry rushed over me. I stood for a moment inside the entrance, mapping out my path, then edged between the standing room only Patreons banked at the bar and the clump of customers waiting for tables. I exchanged hellos with Susie and crossed the corridor to a rear of the main room. This narrow passageway led me to the kitchen, then emptied into the quieter, smaller, and cozier back room. No music, no bar back there, and Jamaican street art on the walls, a dozen tables and booths, including one we thought of as our own. Claire was at the far end of the banquet, the seat next to the window. Yuki sat across from her, and both smiled hugely as I came up to the table. I slid in next to Claire and high-fived Yuki over the table. Sydney's on the way, she said. I grabbed Claire's hand. She had been diagnosed with lung cancer and had undergone surgery that cost her half a lung. The surgery was successful, but there had been no promises as to her life expectancy. That scared the hell out of me. And everyone else who knew and loved Claire, still on leave from her post at the city chief medical examiner. She was seeing her own doctor every 3 months for checkups until further notice. Sitting next to her, I noticed how thin she had become. She'd wanted to drop a couple of dress sizes for years, but cancer was no one's idea of how to lose weight. Yuki had just come from her office at the DA and was wearing a sharp black jacket and pants, her hair falling just below her chin with a blonde streak in front. She looked good, but sleep deprived. She leaned in and said, "Dr. Drake told Claire that she's doing better than expected." That was to say, she's doing great. Claire cracked a grin. No secrets, right? I'm cleared to go back to work. Although I had to swear on my daughter's pet bunny, I would not pull all-nighters. We all started laughing. Claire's daughter, Rosie's rabbit, was a big-eyed, flop-eared named Hoppy, who sleeps with Rosie on her pillow. Then Claire asked about the new commander of the Southern Station, and the laughing stopped. "Clapper's kind of a brilliant choice, isn't he?" Yuki, who was not married to Brady, said. Claire said, "Not so enthusiastic, Yuki-san." "What is it?" Well, Brady is moody. Bad moody. Didn't sleep last night. That's odd for him. He likes Clapper a lot. It's more like he'd almost decide he didn't want to It's almost like he had decided he didn't want the promotion to chief. But he's pissed that the mayor had made the decision for him. Feels to him like a slight or a vote of no confidence. Before I could say, I had already gotten a big fat Demeter from Clapper. Our favorite waitress, Lorraine, came to our table. Her red hair pulled up in a knot. She had a pencil and a pad in hand. She asked, "Is Sydney coming?" Yuki said, "Any minute." On cue, Sydney blew into the back room. She wore denim all the way and her curls were tight from the damp wind. Her big blue eyes were shining, and after she slid in next to Yuki, she said, "Sorry for making you wait. I was stuck behind the oil truck." Lorraine greeted her and recited the specials. Claire asked for steak, black beans, and rice. Yuki ordered a crab salad and Sydney asked for conch deep fried. "We're out of crunch," said Lori. Chicken feet stretched in spice flour." "So, by that you mean blackened snapper and fries?" "Exactly," said Sydney. "And a salad." "Me too," I said. "Yuki, you need a margarita?" "Just a beer," said our dear friend who had no tolerance for tequila at all. "So that's beer all around," Lorraine said. "Here, here," I said. Beer came and we lifted our frothy mugs and a toast as one. "To Claire, to us, and Claire." "To Claire, to us," said Claire. We clinked mugs. Lorraine brought plates of food lined up and balanced on both of her forearms. And when dinner was on the table, she asked if we needed anything else. We all said we were good. After taking long slugs of brew, Sydney leaned forward and said dramatically, "Well, girlfriends, I got news."